So the way that I make it, I know that typically Bolognese is made with like, people usually use like ground beef and stuff, but I use ground turkey because you can't really tell the difference. But for those of you that don't eat meat, I think you should use firm tofu and then just break it up in the pan. So that's what I start with. The protein. So ground meat or ground tofu, or even, I think maybe even like seitan will work. Will mushroom work? Maybe. But in that case, I would just put it in with the rest of the veggies, because so I do the ground meat first, and then after it cooks for a little bit, I throw in minced garlic and sliced onion, and then I let that, you know, come together. I like garlic, so I put in like 4 nice cloves of minced garlic, and then I use like maybe two average size like Spanish onions. And then all of that comes together, it cooks, it sweats out a little bit, you start to smell it, it gets fragrant, and then after that you put in some oregano and chili flakes, and that's like really, you know, based on your taste. I eyeball everything. I don't actually measure, because I wanted to get to that point where I could make it without looking at the recipe. So I eyeball, and I do a can of tomato paste, one of those like small ones, and I cook that down for quite a while. Tomato paste, you want to cook until it turns into the color of like dried blood, like burgundy, because it's bright red, but if you cook it down, it caramelizes, you get all that good flavor that incorporates into everything else. It turns from like a bright red to like a burgundy to a dark red. I would not walk away from the pan. Just, you know, every so often, stir it around, make sure it doesn't get stuck to the bottom too much. If you see stuff getting stuck to the bottom, that's okay. That's okay, because we'll deglaze it afterwards. So all that good dark brown stuff that comes out of it, stuck at the bottom of the pan, is good stuff. That stuff is flavor. And then afterwards, that's when you put in the red wine. You're supposed to put in like around a cup of red wine, but you know, I just eyeball it, and then that's what you use to deglaze it. And then you cook off most of the liquid and the alcohol, and you scrape up all of that nice brown stuff at the bottom of the pan, and you cook that until, yeah, until most of the liquid is cooked off and the alcohol is cooked off. And then after that, you put in a can of crushed tomatoes, and then you do salt and pepper to taste, and freshly cut basil. So I recommend, well, no, you don't really have to do this, but I do it anyway. I chiffonade the basil. I take all the leaves, and then I stack them up, and then I roll them up, and then cut them into little long ribbons. And then you throw that in there too. And then you let all of that stir it up, let it all come together, while your pasta is cooking. After you've cooked the sauce and you let it come together enough, you can add in freshly grated Parmesan, or if you don't eat cheese, you could throw in some Nutritional yeast. I also put in a little bit of heavy cream, just because I want to indulge myself a little bit, but you don't have to do that. I've eaten it without heavy cream and it's still good. And then put in a little bit of the pasta water too, because that will help season as well. And the starch from the pasta water will help the sauce thicken up a little bit. I like making it with the rigatoni because the sauce gets into the middle, like the whole part, and the sauce goes everywhere, and it's so good. But yeah, that's my recipe.